I just was like, life is short, and I'm not going to just say I worked a 9 to 5 and I don't have to be defined by one thing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put my head down and just see where this goes.
GusGrip. Let's hop right into it. Becoming an entrepreneur. Again, you guys have already heard us lightly poke the bear about it. If you guys are into stationary biking and you don't want those sweaty, nasty, germy handlebars, and if you're into staying fit and being active, especially if you're living in a state, right? I get it. In the summertime, you could easily have a bike where you go mountain biking, you ride around your neighborhood, do all of those fun things. But if you are in the middle of a snowstorm, basically November through like March for the most part, if you're a New Englander or if you live in Minnesota or other countries, right? Like a lot of people own stationary bikes, or you see stationary bikes in gyms. Professional athletes use stationary bikes. It's a way for them to rehab their legs, or you see the football players sitting off to the sidelines when they're trying to keep their legs and their muscles working and moving. Stationary bikes are very well known to a lot of people, especially in the fitness industry. But what's not well known is having a product like GusGrip that you could essentially put over your handlebars. That way, if you're sweating and you're not, it's a lot different than just having a towel, right? Like people will say, oh, whatever, you could just put a towel and drape it over your handlebars. No, it's not the same, because that can easily slip off, fall on the ground, get caught in the wheels. It's kind of like a danger factor if you really think about it. But Jen actually came up with a product that tightly, snugly goes over the handlebars and prevents you from having your handlebars get all gross. So I'm going to have her talk about it. Obviously, it's her product. First off, Jen, talk about your biking experience. What got you into biking? And then sort of the idea and the name. Little tidbit, the name GusGrip. Gus, I believe, was her dad's name or part of his name. So she wanted to incorporate his heritage and his lineage into the name of her products.
All right. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I loved group fitness. So for decades now, I've been going to spin classes. I absolutely love how spin and cycling has evolved from, you're clipped in and you're listening to some music to now the lights are off, the music's loud, there's black lights. I say it's like my girls' night out, that I don't really get as much anymore, but my girls' night out dancing, or my church, my therapist, it allows me to escape. So I just have always loved just spinning, but even more so now. And so as life gets busy, I have 2 young kids. As soon as I was cleared to work out after I had my daughter, I was like, I got to get a Peloton. And really, my sister-in-law had one for quite some time. And I was like, stop talking about your Peloton. Oh my God, all I hear is your Peloton, this, that. Like, is it that great? But then selfishly, I was like, all right, I can have it in my room. I can use it when I want it. I have a newborn. So my Peloton got delivered. Well, it probably took me about a week to not stop talking about my Peloton. I absolutely loved the convenience of it, and I couldn't go into the studios with a newborn. But then COVID hit, so going to the gym was out the door. So I had my bike, and so I rode it every day. I'd, wait for that live class. I picked that time, and at that time I wasn't working yet. And it really is a bike that goes nowhere and everywhere. It is the community, the instructors, the trainers, their personalities, their words. It hooks you, and it's so much more than a bike. And I know some people are worried about the company itself, but those of us, we're loyal. Those of us that have a bike and we ride routinely, we're very loyal to the business and to those trainers. So I was riding every day, and I always, whenever you go into a spin class, you get a little rolled up white towel that's sitting on your bike saying, hey, we kind of wiped down your bike and here's your towel for the ride. So I always would take that towel and I would put it flat across the handlebars. So I would have a little bit of cushion, friction, absorption on that handlebar while I was riding. And so this, again, for years, I've done this before Peloton even existed. And I would look across and I'd see other people I was riding with were doing the same thing. And yes, sometimes it would slip and fall on the floor. Other times you'd be switching positions from first to second to third, and you're kind of always finagling and fixing this towel. It's a little annoying and disruptive. So when I had my Peloton, I just went on Amazon and I put in Peloton handlebar cover or spin bike handlebar cover. And at that time, nothing came up. There was nothing there. Because if there was, I would have just ordered it and it would have come and I would not be sitting here talking to you today. So that was kind of where I got the idea. And I'm like, how is there no product? And I work in corporate America for medical products, product marketing. So a little bit of my brain is trained to say, what's the customer need? Is there an unmet customer need? How big's the market? Can you reach the customer? So I kind of just had that moment of, how is there not this accessory for a stationary bike after all these years and all these people, these studios laundering these towels? Like, how does this product not exist? So I kind of thought about it, sat on it, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to try and build one. So I ordered off of Amazon 2 pot holders, because you got kind of that terry cushion material. And then I had my daughter's infant hooded towels when I gave her a little bath. So I cut them up, I sewed them together, and I slipped it onto the bike handlebar. So basically, again, like a terry cloth glove that I rode with. And so COVID, I probably did this, maybe March was when COVID really hit, probably May-ish. And I rode with it for months and I loved my prototype. Still nothing existed. So I was just like, do I do anything with this? There might be an opportunity. Then I was just like, I don't have time, money, like, where's it going to go? I still rode with my prototype though. And it wasn't until like my dad got ill and he passed a year after like me of using this prototype and kind of sitting on this idea. But when he passed, I was just, I'm still heartbroken. I would talk to him like 3 or 4 times a day. Like, we are soulmates, and just, he was my go-to. Like, I'd call him on my way into work, on my lunch breaks to check in, give him an update, ask him a question. And so when you lose someone who's so special and so constant in your life, it is heartbreaking. And you can either take that grief and get really depressed and let it like hold you back. But for me, it was just almost like a light that went off that was like, life is short. And like, all that matters is your relationships and your love and like the story you're going to tell. And hopefully it's a good one and a fun one and a kind one. So it's just like, you know what? I'm sitting on this prototype and